Good evening, Cryptid fans. Welcome back another wonderful Tuesday night. We got a special guest live from, I believe it was Arkansas,
Arkansas.
in Missouri area, and Wyatt Estes. He's call him an independent researcher, but he does have a partner he researches with, and I know he's collaborated, I'm sure, with D.A. Roberts and Robbie Raines some as well. So we got some video clips to show you. There'll be a forewarning on a couple of those clips. That's okay. With some language that is not screamed, but it's whispered. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it fly. And lots of photography, and I'm sure a boatload of information. When I say boatload, I'm not kidding, because that's how they make their get around down there by boat. If you paid attention to the thumbnail. And Jeff, I have one question for you, real quick.
Yeah.
I know you went. I know you all went to Michaud over the weekend. Dealt with a lot of rain. But were you like pretending and playing kung fu fighting or something while you were there? Because I'm having a hard time understanding why Bud comes home with a busted up knee, and the only thing I can figure is little short you out there kung fu fighting with his knee or something. So I'm just curious.
No, that we can blame that on his trip to the Green Swamp with Reinhardt. That was
Oh yeah, the Green Swamp. That's a treacherous place, no doubt. Yeah, but
yeah. He took a tumble over something, and that was that was the downfall.
I don't know what to say to David. I don't know if he's just sitting still or if he's locked up again. Or hi, David. He's locked up again.
But I will say
Oh,
that
there he is. He moved.
we had a great time. I got to meet Levon and Crystal and Levon's husband, and
Yeah.
uh, got to meet Bud and Angie and their girls, and we just had an awesome time. The whole it was great.
Okay. Well, he's blaming it on Angie. So you're off the hook then. But anyway, and
he
Wyatt.
tells me it was a stick, but I was wondering if it was Angie.
Yeah. Okay. Smart man will never blame his wife.
We also went
Anyway.
to Gettysburg, so it was a good.
Oh yeah, you bring up Gettysburg. You guys did a ghost tour out there.
Yep.
I talked with Jeff today, and our next Beards and Boogers show coming soon. I don't know if it'll be this weekend, but it'll be coming soon. We're going to do a kind of a ghost related themed show. Uh, Hopefully, Bud and Angie will join us. We'll get with them and set a time when they can be here. And Jeff and Cindy as well. My wife Cindy has had some experience out there from the Farnsworth Inn where she stayed. She took her niece out there one year for birthday, and plenty of ghost activity. Plenty of ghost activity, so especially on the battlefield and where they were staying at the Farnsworth Inn. So if you ever want pretty positive interaction, the Farnsworth Inn is a bed and breakfast there. That's the one you're going to want to book because that place has gotten a lot of
And
going for
this
it.
one was in, I can't remember which orphanage it was. That was where we were.
Yeah. So we definitely want to get that out there. So the next Beard and Boogers is looking to be that. We just got to get everything, our I's dotted and T's crossed in the time, and we get Bud and Angie on here and whoever, and make it happen, man. We're going to have a ghost show. That'd be something different. So anyway, now Wyatt Estes. How's Wyatt?
Good, guys. How are you doing? How are you guys?
Awesome. Very happy to have you on here, and uh, I've got a lot of stuff backstage to show you, videos, photos, and I know there's boatloads of information to go along with those. So I'm just going to step aside and let Milkman and David. Uh, I'll be chatting with you as well, but I'm going to be more concerned about working on the chat and bringing this stuff forward for everybody to see. And you just
And I
call
may
out.
need to step out for a few minutes, but I won't be going long.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Go get your chickens. And
He's not here yet.
well, then just step out then, I guess. But anyway, just let me know when you're ready to see stuff. Right.
All right.
And there was one additional photo, real quick. We should have talked about this backstage. It's by itself. You sent. It's snow on the ground and
Yeah.
like that.
If you
You
want
just let me know.
yeah.
First off, let's hear a little bit about you before we get into all that stuff. We got plenty of time.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to meeting you guys for a long time.
Anyway, I guess I'll start where it all started. How I kind of got interested in Bigfoot. Uh, anyway, I used to live about 12 miles out on a dirt road. Uh, so you can imagine the kind of forest that lays along 12 miles of dirt road. Uh,
Oh yeah.
you know, kind of canopied and in certain spots, real thick. Anyway, I, I was coming home on the school bus one day, and I had a real long school bus route. Uh, and when I got home, uh, I was sitting there. I got off the bus. My grandpa was at the house. I was excited to see my grandpa. So I go up and start talking to him. He's like, we got talking a little bit, and he's like, I seen a Bigfoot walk across the road. At this time I'm 10 or 11 years old, and I kind of got a little excited about it. He said, if the school bus would have been just a little faster, that they would have seen it too. I can't remember exactly how the school bus ride went. I can't remember if they drove me past my house and then brought me back, and my grandpa was there. But yeah, when I got off the bus, he was there, and he told me, yeah, I seen a Bigfoot walk across the road.
Wow.
Of course, this is back in the '90s. So yeah, I guess you could say I've probably had an interest in Bigfoot ever since then.
Yeah, no doubt.
I guess flash
No
forward
doubt,
to
yeah.
2021. I'm out at deer camp, out in the Ozark National Forest. Um, it's about 12 miles from Boxley, Arkansas. It's on Cave Mountain is what we call it. Anyway, I'm out there hunting. I usually hunt below this place called the Fire Tower. So I'm getting ready to go down to my stand, or not really a stand. I just set beside a tree and wait for the deer to walk by. But the weird part about that was these hunters, these other hunters, they came up and they started asking me if I'd seen their buddy. They said they hadn't seen him since the morning. I guess apparently he'd walked off and they hadn't seen him since then. Now they never asked me to help look for him or anything whatsoever. And I'm 99.9% sure nothing ever came of that because I was there that weekend. There weren't any game wardens out there looking for anybody or asking any questions or anything. So anyway, I walk down below the fire tower and I get down there, and I'm not too far from where I'm going to sit down. And I start hearing what I can only describe as wood knocks. All the stuff I've heard and all the videos I've watched. That's what I can describe it as. Now, if it was actual wood knocks, I can't prove that because I wasn't trying to do any research at that time. And it kept on for about 10 or 15 minutes. And I actually yelled out into the woods. I'm like, is anybody out there? I mean, these guys were looking for their buddy. So, if he's out there, maybe he's, knocking on a tree to get attention. But I was talking to somebody else one time, and they're like, well, usually if they're going to get attention in the deer woods, you've got rifles. So you fired the 3 shots, to let somebody know where you're at. So anyway, I go sit down. I don't know. It's quite a while later. My buddy, he actually walks up from about the same direction I was hearing all this stuff from. Because it's all connected out there. You can walk from here to there and get different places. But he came up beside me and we sat down. We were talking just a little bit. And I told him what had happened. He's like, well, do you think it was a woodpecker? I'm like, well, I've heard woodpecker quite a bit, and it didn't sound like a woodpecker to me. But so yeah, that was probably my first kind of actual experience. When I first heard it, I was like, I've always believed in Bigfoot, but I never really expected to have anything happen. So I kind of set I may have said a choice word or two, like no effing way. But yeah, I tried to tell everybody at deer camp, and really nobody believed me.
Is deer camp anything like band camp? Or?
Well, not quite.
If it's anything like the deer camp I go to, we don't hunt a lot of deer. So.
Well, let's just put it this way: there's a lot of camaraderie around the fire, and a few beverages are drank. Maybe
some deer camps have more beverages than others.
Yeah,
it's more like a beer camp.
Well, there you go. We have a good time. Let's put it that way. I guess probably my second experience. We have some property over around Bender, Arkansas, and we were out there morel mushroom hunting. It would have been in, I think, spring of 2022. So, March or April, something like that. And my wife, my little girl, and her parents, my wife's parents were with us. And, we're hunting mushrooms because that's what everybody does that time of year. That and turkey hunt. But we walking down around there, and I start hearing what sounds like a baby crying in the woods. Ooh. It sounds like it's a far piece off. It's quite a ways away. But I believe we heard it once or twice. And I asked my wife, "Did you hear that?" And she's like, "Yeah, I heard it." I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of explaining to her that the baby crying in the woods is sometimes associated with Bigfoot from what I'd, watched and heard. So what they try to lure women and children away because the sound of a baby crying in the woods kind of causes that maternal instinct to kick in, and they want to go search for the baby. Now, whether it was a baby crying in the woods, I don't know. There's other properties surrounding ours. We've got acreage there, and there's other properties around there. So I guess it could have been, somebody had a kid outside and it was crying. But I just thought it was awful coincidental that my wife and little girl were with me that day, plus our mom. Who knows? It may have been something else, but that's where my head was going, was towards the Bigfoot thing.
So was that particular area? I'm trying to follow along. Was it a campground by chance nearby, or no campground? Just.
There's not any campgrounds around there. Not in that general area. That's just our private property we have over there.
Okay. No other local residents or anything.
That's what I'm saying. There's other properties around ours that somebody, I guess, could have had a baby outside. But,
okay. So serious.
I was leaning more towards the other thing, but like I said, I'm not 100% sure.
Sure. It's hard to tell.
It is.
Unless you're standing there seeing it doing it. Yeah. You don't.
Yep. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep. I was putting two and two together. That's all I was doing.
Because we've definitely heard plenty of stories of that happening.
Yeah. They mimic a lot of stuff from what I hear.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to get out that way sometime.
Come on down. I got extra bedroom. We got plenty of room.
I got an RV. I just need a spot to park it. But yeah, absolutely. I've always wanted to see Arkansas and Missouri and stuff. I mean, I've been how far furthest west I've probably been has been central Illinois, south central. South central down Carbondale, I guess, somewhere down around in there. DuQuoin, Illinois.
I'd love to get up to Maryland in that area too, and over to Oregon with Mr. David.
Yeah,
all those spots would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big trip to go to Oregon.
There's a lot of stuff around here I could throw a hat and hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots.
Very close. This northern part of Maryland over here in the east by the river is.
Yeah, we're basically on the river. We're not far from it.
Yeah, we're real close to I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Buffalo River, but it was actually the first national river that they actually designated a national river.
Okay. Cool.
But
that is cool.
So I guess probably the next thing. Do you want me to keep going in chronological order, Jerry?
You talk about whatever you want to do, and I will say real quick before, if you have questions for Wyatt, I've got a lot of stuff to show tonight here when we get to it, so it's going to be hard for me to go back and forth. But just save your questions. Please put them in all caps. Save them for later in the show, so I don't miss them. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
probably
I'm
announce when I'm ready for questions. So
yeah, Jerry. If you can pop the questions up, I've got
yeah,
the
I
chat
will.
pulled up, but I'm having a hard time watching it though.
Yeah, it gets busy, and but just I know people's going to have questions, and I know it may be something from early in the show. Just kind of keep it in the back of your mind and put it in all caps for us after we're ready for them. It's getting to be a bear to keep up with some of it. So
Oh yeah, chat's flying by.
yeah, so, and
Yep.
it's not even as busy as
Yeah,
it would be.
I can't keep up with these things anymore.
Yeah,
It's fun.
they're starting.
I
That's
appreciate
good.
it. I appreciate the people being here.
Yeah,
Supporting
thanks
us. I
everybody
really
for being
appreciate
here.
Yep.
it. Absolutely. I know we got a good guest. Wyatt, take it away, man. You keep right on going. You tell us what you want to tell us, and you just holler when you're ready for photos and stuff.
All right, I'll tell a couple more stories, and I'll have you bring up the picture in the snow, Jerry.
Okay.
Uh, anyway, probably the next thing, I was at this same property where I heard the baby crying in the woods, and I was this time I was deer hunting. It was around November, 2022, I believe. Anyway, I go down in this. It's kind of like a little valley, and I'm sitting kind of on this edge of it, and I hear something growl. Now it wasn't terribly loud, but I got the feeling that whatever it was, it meant business. You know, it was kind of like a. I said, okay, well, I'm like, all right, I'm moving. I'm going to go somewhere else. So I walked to the complete other side of the property. And, this is a little while later. It's not, at the exact same time, but I walk on around to the complete opposite side of the property and something growls at me again. And I'm thinking, all right, there's either two of something or there's something following me, one or the other. I did a little research about, like cougars and, big cats. And I mean, I think I had heard something later on, not at that time, but later on, a while after this had happened, there have been like mountain lions seen out there. But usually, a mountain lion's prerogative is not to follow you around all over the place. So, and I listened to Bobcat. And I guess possibly it could have been a bobcat, but whatever it was, there was two different things, and there was either two things or there was one thing following me, and that kind of made me a little uneasy. After I heard the second growl, something dropped out of a tree, and I could only catch it out of the corner of my eye when I seen it move. It was black, whatever it was. That's what the color my eye caught. It was probably a squirrel. Now, it didn't sound real heavy when it dropped off. And squirrels are gray, so that could have been gray, but my mind thought it was black. But I kind of got to thinking, I've heard that they like to spider crawl real close to the ground.
Yes.
So that did go through my mind. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, I'm sitting there, and after I heard the second growl, I'm like, well, I'm getting out of the woods, or at least. So I backed out of there with my equalizer pointed towards the woods. It's a pretty good size equalizer, so probably wouldn't have done any good. But if I had to use it, it was there. So I back out. I didn't leave right away, but I wasn't sitting down near as far into the woods as I was. Anyway, that happened. I left a little while later. But yeah, there was either two of something, or one thing following me, and neither one of those sounded very fun to me. So I guess probably the next thing, I was back out where I told you I had my first experience out on Cave Mountain in the Ozark National Forest. Now, the Ozark National Forest, I believe it's over 1 million acres, I believe. So it's a good sized national forest. Anyway, we were back out what we call squirrel camp this time. We all get together and go squirrel hunting. we're all sitting around the campfire. We decided we're going to go to bed. And my buddy's dad, the one I was telling you about earlier, that asked me if it was a woodpecker. Well, his dad, he brings out a camper there every year, and it's just one of the old style campers, and they modified it with a bunch of bunk beds, so a bunch of people could sleep in it. It'd probably sleep, 6 or 8 people, something like that. Anyway, we're all laying there, and we all go to sleep, and probably about, I think it was around 3 o'clock in the morning. He had also brought his squirrel dog out there, and this dog starts going off. It starts barking all the way around the camp, like almost like it's following something or barking at something all the way around the camp. I thought that was a little weird. So anyway, the dog stops barking, and just a little while later, I hear something jiggle the handle of the door handle of the camper. It was, you could hear it just go back and forth. I'm thinking, there's something out there. My guns, I've got if I need to go get the equalizer, it's right next to the door. So I'm going to have to get real close to that door before I get over there. Thankfully, it stopped and nothing happened after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes something with hands to jiggle a door handle.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Like I said, I'm not saying it was a Bigfoot 100%, but it almost fits the bill on that one. So that was another story. Jerry, do you have that picture of the snow?
Oh my goodness! Let me see if I can get a little bigger. Hold on.
No.
Wow, that's small. Sure. Maybe not. Let me try to do something a little better now. Wow, that's small. I can get it bigger. Hold on.
Okay.
What did I do, David?
I don't know.
What did I do?
I'm glad it's you doing it, not me. I'm not very technologically savvy.
I'd have just shut the whole thing down right there.
Over, no pictures. Yes, we're good.
I got her. I got her now. Oop. Yep, we got her. Okay. That's better. Here we go. That's better. Okay.
Now, my dad, he actually sent me this picture. He knows I'm into Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
This was found beside a dumpster here in Harrison, where I live. Here in Arkansas, it was found beside a dumpster in town. I thought it was really cool. It looks like it has 4. It looks like it only has 4 toes.
Yes.
But when we showed this episode or showed this picture on DA's show that one time, you kind of really got to zoom in. But that 3rd toe, you can almost tell that there's another toe right next to it.
Oh yeah, you can see 2.
Yeah.
Right here, yeah.
It was probably a year later. I was at the gym working out, and this guy said, he seen I had a Bigfoot shirt on. He's like, "Where do you always wear that?" I'm like, "Well, just because I'm interested in it." But
Right.
he's like, "Well, one time I got my dad this pair of, the wooden shoes you can put on, Bigfoot shoes.
Yes.
I guess they'll leave tracks." So anyway, I bring that up when I show this picture. But when I was on DA's show, him and Robbie, we pretty much ruled that out, because if you look around at the rest of the track, if you look at that track compared to everything else, what do you notice?
Well, the size of it's huge. For one.
The size of it, exactly.
Compared to the width and everything,
Right. But look at the gravel underneath it. You can tell that wasn't a melt and refreeze. What Robbie was describing was it was standing there for so long that the foot had actually melted the snow underneath it.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, that print beside it is, I believe that's my dad's boot print. I think he wears a 9.5 or 10.
Yeah, no comparison, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is like a little bit of a hill drag here or something.
That's what
I
I was
honest-
looking at.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen that before. I don't know. Honestly, know what that was. I guess it could have been a hill drag.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Was there just the one, Wyatt, or was there more?
I don't know. I wasn't there. He just sent that to me when he was at work one day. This is out behind where he works.
Mary didn't get the addendum, I guess. But we'll go ahead
Mary,
and ask you a question.
Mary, I'm not sure. There could have been. I'm not 100% positive on that. Honestly, I didn't go down there and look or anything, and I didn't ask my dad that. But very possibly there could have been, but it wasn't behind like a restaurant dumpster or anything. But
Very interesting.
And it doesn't look like a bear track either. The toes and everything just looks
Right.
different. Looks different than a bear. I mean, it could be, but
I don't see, usually wouldn't you see like a claw, some kind of a claw indication through here somewhere?
not always on black bear. But yeah, you would have thought so in the snow like that.
yeah, and that's what we have here is black bear.
Yeah.
Now that we have had bears seen on like doorbell cameras and stuff here in town. Or,
Those look more like
outside
toes and not pads. That's what gets me too.
Yeah. I've also talked to a guy that he lives around here too, and he's told me that he's actually seen a Bigfoot and a Dogman here in town where I live.
Wow.
So, it's kind of creepy when you think about that kind of stuff being near cities.
Gosh.
Yep.
Good point too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
Leanne's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
Yeah, the toes do have a splay to them.
Yep. They just look longer than like a pad.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Sure, we got
Dorothy.
everything. Yeah. Hi, Mr. House. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Hey, Greg.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's a great shot. Excellent.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I'm glad he sent it to me.
Yeah.
I've kind of treasured that picture for a long time.
I guess Jeff's chicken showed up. Yeah, it's told him somebody bringing chickens for him. Some new chickens. Okay. Let's put that down there. So anyway.
Can I have 1 second to go tell my daughter something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Give me just 1 second.
You're right ahead. Yeah, exactly, Mary. Yeah, no claw marks in the toes. Yeah. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. The boss is in the house. Look out. Everybody say
Cindy's
hi
in
to
the
Miss Cindy.
Chat.
Yeah, Cindy's in chat. That's because Donald Trump's not on TV. That's why. He was. But anyway, yeah, definitely. If that next Beards and Booger show, we're going to do it. If I'll go ahead and bring that up again real quick. Next Beards and Booger show, Beards and Boogers show, we're going to have a ghost show. And again, that's going to be with what you wanted to sing, David. It's going to.
Yes.
Cindy's had some experience out at Gettysburg, and of course, Bud and Angie and Jeff were just out there and did a ghost tour, so they had some interesting stuff too. So we're going to do a ghost of Gettysburg show. Ghosts, pretty cool stuff. Cindy had a couple of experiences out there, I believe. I'll let her tell all that. I don't remember, and I don't want to get it wrong. Good evening, Mr. Green. Mark Green's in the house. How are you?
Hey, Mark.
Love us some Mark.
You guys
Oh,
rock.
yeah.
Great show. Hey, thanks, Erica.
Yeah, his last show. I watched his last show with you guys. That was a great show.
Yes, yeah. Mark is an encyclopedia of Alabama. above and beyond anything in Alabama, Bigfoot, whatever. I mean, Mark is the man to. Usually has an answer. If not, he'll find an answer. It's pretty cool stuff. He's
I'd
good
love
guy,
to meet him.
good guy. Yes,
I'd love to meet him and Greg and all of them boys from Alabama. It'd be really cool.
I'll threaten him. I said, you better make me a landing strip down there because I'm going to fly down there just to come for a cookout and fly back home.
There you go.
Yeah, I would love that. I'd love to go to one of his cookouts, man. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really
Even
fun.
a meet and greet. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to be at the next meet and greet that they have, and I think it'd be a really good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. So far, so good. So far, so good. Again, if you got questions, I'll try to keep up with the current ones while we're showing photos. But if I miss it, please remember and repost it again later. We'll kind of open it back up to questions later.
Sounds good.
So
I guess
you continue on. You tell me
right.
what you want next or whatever. So
Sounds good. It'll be just a little bit more before pictures, so I'll
sure.
talk about a few more things. Now, my buddy Richard Brucia, I work with him, and we got to talking about Bigfoot and stuff at work. It's like, man, you need to come out. You need to come out with me, and because I've had some weird stuff happen. I'm like, well, all right, let's go. So I guess it was September of 2023, I believe, when we went out the first time. And we get back out in this cove. It's on Table Rock Lake. It's one you hear DA talk about quite a bit on his show, where we went to the campground. This is a different area, but so where we go in, you enter from the Arkansas side, and then you go through an area, the border of Arkansas and Missouri, and then you go up into Missouri. Anyway, we get up into the Missouri side. And this is a cove that we usually have a bunch of activity. Well, this was our first time out. And we get out there, we hear a few little things. Probably the experience of the first time we were out there. We were shining the light over on this area of land on the bank over here. And we see a round white object, and we're shining the light, and it disappears. It's like gone. It vanishes into thin air, and I can't explain that. But it was probably less than 5 minutes later, we hear the crispest wood knock you've ever heard in your life. I mean, it sounded like two wooden baseball bats being slammed together. It was crisp. I wish I'd have had that on. I wish I'd have been actually researching at this time and had some audio of that. And then Richard, he hears something walking along the bank of the lake over there. Anyway, that was about it on the first time. Now the second time we went out, it was October of 2023, and we're back out in the coves again. And all right, these two coves I'm going to tell you about. There's one that kind of goes around to the left, but if you come back out and take another left, you'll go back into this other cove I'm telling you about. Jerry, do you have the pictures of the structures?
Yes. Yep. Let me go over here and get that started again.
Sorry, I told you it was going to be a while before more
No,
pictures.
you're fine. I should have already had it ready. That's my fault. All good. All good.
Guess it was a little bit later, but not very much.
Okey-doke.
Anyway, we went back out into this cove, and we're coming back out of the cove. So this would have been on my right. And, he's got lights on the side of his boat. I believe I caught this out of the corner of my eye. I turned to the right. I'm like, hey, man, I think there's something over here. So we got the big spotlight out, and I shined it over there, and I took these pictures, the pictures of this. Now, I know I talked to DA and I've talked to other people. there's a strong possibility that this was a man-made structure. I understand that. If you look in there, you can see the white bricks laying below it, and it had some rope intertwined in it. But the peculiar thing about this structure here was that stick on the very back.
Yes.
Now,
Down here
yeah,
or back in here. I mean, I'm sorry.
well, no, it's the one down below,
Down here.
down in there somewhere. Richard seen this. I don't particularly actually remember this, but Richard said that stick in the back was sitting there perfectly balanced on another stick.
Okay.
Like you could touch it and it would fall off.
Wow. About how
now-
tall do you think that was, Wyatt?
If you go by the tip of the tip of the trees up there, or the branches that's made with,
Yes.
I don't know, it's probably 7 or 8 feet tall. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I don't really remember. If I'd have been a researcher at the time, I probably would have had a tape measure measuring it and stuff. But now around this particular structure, there's all sorts of like freshwater. I guess they'd be clams. You know, there was a bunch of little shells around there, like something had been eaten quite a bit. And there was kind of an indention in the ground. And I didn't send this picture because all it is a picture of a light shining on the ground, and it didn't come out very well. But it looked like something heavy had stepped down and made an impression in the ground there.
Oops. I apologize. This is a little different look for me on the. There's different ways to zoom in. Sometimes it might be a little too much. It's blurry. Starts blurring out. But
So what's around this area, Wyatt?
Well, back behind it, it's nothing but brush, trees and brush. That's actually on the bank of the lake. That's why we say it good possibility it was man-made, but I think there was something fishy around there because when we went to leave the area, our spotlight went completely dead. Like you've heard of it draining the batteries and cameras and lights and stuff. Well, it went completely dead there.
Wow.
And we get back to another area in the lake and the spotlight comes right back on. So that was the peculiar thing about that area. So anyway, we had that happen. Trying to think of the next thing. We went back out again. It was probably March of 2024. We were able to hear something that sounded like it was walking on 2 feet on one side of the cove. I can't remember a whole lot of stuff about that particular area. I have all this written down somewhere, and I should have had the notes ready with me. But
it's fine.
We go back out in May. This is one of the better ones. So we're trolling back in this particular cove like we always are. And we get to this highline right away. It crosses the lake. And I'm shining the Richard spotlight up into that right away. And it goes dead again. But this is a different one, but it just goes completely dead. So we turned around. We usually turn around at this power line and start going back the other way. As back out in these coves that we go to, you got to be real careful because there's a bunch of old trees and stumps. You got to run the trolling motor. But so we're coming out of there, and all of a sudden, this whistle it goes off. This is the loudest whistle I've ever heard in my life. I don't believe any human being could have made this whistle. As it started and when it kept going up, it was changing octaves.
Right.
I can't make the whistle because I don't think a human could have made the whistle.
Right.
Richard said he couldn't whistle that loud, so yeah, he can whistle pretty loud. So we hear that, and we're steadily going out. And like 5 minutes or less later, a pack of coyotes lights off right behind us, back where we heard the whistle. I know people are going to call me crazy. No, that's all right. I probably am a little bit.
All used to
Join
it.
the crowd. Yeah.
But in my mind, I think whatever that was calling the coyotes towards our direction. Now, these coyotes, they were very loud. You think you should be able to turn around with a spotlight, turn around with, headlamp, spotlight, whatever we were using. And you think you would be able to see these coyotes right there on the bank. We couldn't see nothing. There was nothing there. But the noise was happening. So anyway, we were trolling along out some more. And we can hear something, walking along the right side of us. It had been the side Richard was on. You could kind of hear something walking, and it sounded like it was on two legs. But just a little bit after that, we hear almost sounded like a tree break or a big branch. There's my boy, Thunder. No, we never heard it fall, but we heard it break.
Right.
And we keep trolling out a little bit further. And then on the other side, something massive lands in the water. We're assuming it was a rock. Richard said, I fished out here for 30 years, and that wasn't a fish that jumped up and hit the water. So anyway, that's when I drew my equalizer. It scared me pretty good.
Yeah, but
I mean, the way this hit the water, kind of in my mind, I was like, did one just jump in the water with us? I'm 99% sure it was a rock, but it hit with enough force that it could have been something,
sure.
a being jumping in the water. But
Wow, that's interesting.
That's been the only time I drew the pistol.
Yeah. Leanne asked if there were any tree bows in the woods around the or other type structures. Were there any tree bows around that particular structure, or are there other structures
Well,
in that area?
I have been out there during the daylight, but we haven't really walked a whole lot where all this stuff has happened. We have got off and towards the very end of the cove or towards the back of the cove and got out and walked around. But where that stuff happened, I haven't really walked up into the woods and looked. Usually we're out there at night, so I'm a little bit of a chicken. I don't like to test the waters too much.
No, I don't blame you.
I totally understand that.
Yeah. Now, if we were in there with a big group like we went in there with DA and Robbie and them, we had 6 or 7 people. Yeah, that'd be different.
Yeah.
But so I guess we come back out. I guess it would probably been probably June, or I think something like that. Forgive me if I get the dates wrong. Like I said, I have all it written down, but
It's fine.
I don't have it in front of me.
You're fine. Go ahead.
So anyway, we go to the lake this time, but we stay in the Arkansas side, and we go down this one cove. We get back in there, and this night it's about 60 degrees at night, but my hands, they start getting real cold, and I can't explain it. I don't know what was going on, but my hands just started getting really cold. But anyway, we get back into this cove, and something starts busting the brush. I mean, it sounds like a daggum war zone going off in the brush over here. And I'm trying to get the spotlight on. This spotlight's kind of finicky. It's kind of a weird one. It's really bright when you get it on, but it's kind of finicky. So anyway, Richard's like, "Get that dang light on." May have used a different word than that, but he's like, "Get that light on." I'm like, I'm trying. So I finally get the light on, and we're shining the light in the brush. We're hearing all this. Sounds like the brush is just moving, all sorts of stuff. Shining the light over there, nothing's moving. Like, where's this sound coming from? Can't see nothing walking. There's, I think I've heard Greg talk about how he heard the one and he could see the trees moving as it walked across the particular piece of property there, but he couldn't see it. This is what's happened with most of our experiences. We can hear everything in the world. You shine your spotlight over there, and there's nothing there, and that's what really kind of irritates me in a way.
Yeah, but creepy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Make that much noise, you know it's there,
yeah,
and you can't see it.
yeah, and you should be able to see all the trees swaying and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, I don't know if it was adrenaline or something, but I told Richard I had to sit down. Anyway, when I sat down directly off to the opposite side of the lake, I hear something walking up towards the boat. Now, Richard, he don't scare very easily, but that night he's like, "We need to get out of here," and so we did. We started going out, and as we were going out, we could hear something kind of walking in the woods behind us. So we leave that time. So yeah, I just don't understand. I would really like to see whatever's making all this noise. But I think Greg said it was 9 years before he had all of it. He was able to actually see one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a few more. I've got a few more years, I reckon.
All the crazy stuff that's ever happened to me, I've never seen one, except for maybe what I thought was an apparition back when I was like 14.
Right. Now, your experience was pretty crazy too, Jeff. Where you
Are you getting screamed at? Yeah.
Yeah. I've listened to yours too, David. You got a really awesome encounter.
You don't need to see one to know they're real when they're screaming at you in the dark at 40 yards.
Exactly.
or throwing stuff and breaking branches right beside you.
Yeah, that's a pretty good indicator of there's something there that doesn't belong.
Yep.
Bigfoot Bud, I actually just bought a thermal earlier this month or late last month. I've only got to use it one time though.
Bud and I were trying to use our thermals at my show, and that fog the first night, it was so thick I couldn't even look at my truck with the thing.
Yeah, when I used mine for the first time out there on the lake, I guess all the trees and the rocks, they'd absorbed a bunch of heat, and they were all the trees and rocks, they were putting off a bunch of heat signatures. So
you can tell which ones soak up a lot of heat during the day when you look at them at night.
Yeah.
I use them to find deer during hunting season too. They're when I got to look for one that I can't blood trail.
Right.
It works awesome. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. What kind do you have, Jeff?
I've got it's the AGM TM160 Micro. Jerry's got one too. I think a bunch of us bought them because Spencer had mentioned they were gonna discontinue that model, and they had a bunch of them on what was it, B&H Photography.
Gotcha.
Was it B&H, Jerry?
Yeah,
it was B&H.
Cheap, dirt cheap.
They were really cheap. We got them used, and they were like $250 or something.
Brand new, man. I mean, they were just like brand new. I mean,
I tried to get that same one when Spencer posted it on. I should have got it when he posted it, but I waited and it was already sold out. I got the TM10260, I think is what it's called. Don asked when I was going to go out with DA and the guys again. Don, I'm not 100% sure, but I think there may be something planned in May.
I've decided against doing anything in April around here anymore because the weather is just horrendous.
Yeah.
Yes. Very unpredictable.
The past two times we've been out, me and Richard, you got to be real careful because there's debris fields all the way across the lake because it's rained so much. Bunch of big logs and tree limbs in the water.
Now, what time of year do you think is better, like fall?
I've had stuff happen in the spring and I've had stuff happen in the fall, but we've also had stuff happen in the summer because when we went to the campground is when we found all that weird stuff.
See, pretty much everything that's ever happened to me has been from like September till like April. It's
Gotcha.
A lot of the stuff. And now, the way that place felt when I pulled in there this past weekend, if we hadn't gotten rain, I think we would have had something happen. The first night it rained. The second night, well, Bud and Angie's tent took a hit. The easy up went for a ride while I was in my tent getting some stuff together for a hike.
Oh man.
There was a broken arm involved.
Uh-oh.
One of the little side arms on the thing.
You said broken arm. I thought somebody actually broke their arm.
No.
That's what I was thinking too.
We did not break Bud's arm.
Good. I'm glad you're okay, Bud.
Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
He was saying that was his wife earlier. So
Yeah. I thought I heard him over there saying, "Please no."
Please no.
yeah.
Please no.
Yeah. Anyway, where'd we leave off? I apologize. I had to step out for a minute.
Yeah, I had to go out and talk to my cousin for a minute. He was bringing the chickens over. His wife wouldn't. His wife got attached to these chickens. These are like the oldest chickens. I didn't think chickens lived that long, but normally one of mine ends up getting eaten by something.
I was going to say it depends on the amount of foxes and weasels and stuff that are around. So,
well, I caught one on my security camera the other night watching my duck pen, so he's going to have to go.
yes.
Anyway. How are your ducks doing, Jeff?
They're great. I got some little ones and I got them out in the run now, but they're still getting a little stupid about going back up the ramp. So after we get done tonight, I'm going to go out there and pick them up and put them in the enclosure, but nothing can get in there to them.
Good.
It's a very well built enclosure. They just get freaked out when they see the head sticking up against the wire looking at them.
So Wyatt, Don asked you, do you think they move around Table Rock Lake at different times of the year? Or
this particular cove we go to, I almost think they're there year round. I know that's hard to believe because it's, but if you think about it, there's all sorts of deer out there and they've got all the fish in the lake that they can stand to eat. We kind of think there may be a cave back in there somewhere that they go in and that's where they stay. But yeah, we've had experiences in March. We've had experiences in May. When we went out with DA, it was either late June or early July. And then I had a Dogman encounter in August of that same year. And then we've had stuff happen in September and October. So at least probably 6 to 8 months out of the year they're there, I would say. But I haven't been the other times most of the time.
wow.
When you guys found those tracks, when you guys took DA out, how many did you end up finding on that one?
Well, on the campsite itself, or on the campground itself, we found we found one that's had a little bit of.
Find some at the boat launch.
Yeah, this was at a completely different area than where we put DA and them in at. That's actually my next story. I'll talk about the campground real quick. So anyway, DA and we all got together and we decided we wanted to go to this old abandoned campground called Combs Ferry. I guess it's technically a shutdown campground because people do go there,
even though you're not supposed to.
Well, I think you can actually get in there at night. We've discovered you can, as long as the gate's not locked, you can probably get in there. But at this time, we decided, we thought it'd be the best to go in by boat because we technically at this time didn't know if we were supposed to be there or not. So we went in by boat. Richard, he ferried us over from one boat dock over to Combs Ferry. We had to go in a few at a time because it was a bass boat. And you can't put too many people on one or it'll bog it down.
Makes you wish you'd had a party barge, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's me and Richard's plan is to get a pontoon before too long. Anyway, we make our trip back over. DA, Robbie, and his son, they were the first three to get on the ground over there. and I came in. I think I came in second with Steve, and then it was me and Steve, and it may have been Lieutenant Jenkins.
Yeah,
but then
because
there
DA
was,
had a couple of his guys from his old partners with him, didn't he?
yeah. They came through, and when DA said as soon as they'd got on the peninsula there that they'd started hearing stuff in the woods. Noah had his parabolic, and they were hearing stuff in the woods already right when we got there. So anyway, we're walking through there. This place is overgrown, busted up picnic tables. It looked like a bomb went off in the campsite.
That is one of the strangest things I've ever seen was the pictures of that place.
Yeah.
Like, it looked like heavy equipment did that.
Yeah, there's somebody on one of the other shows I was on. They're claiming that somebody took a mini X down there and broke all that stuff up. Whether
But
that
if
actually,
you took that in there, wouldn't you see evidence of a mini excavator?
well, apparently this has been years ago.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's true or not. That's what that guy was saying.
Question is, why would you do that?
Yeah, unless you're not wanting people in there for some reason.
Yeah.
There's only a few reasons I could think of that they wouldn't want people in there. There's some weird stuff was happening in there. But
It's like, why are certain parts of parks closed at certain times?
Right. I mean, you can walk. People go in there and walk around the place. But yeah. But this particular area is overgrown and all busted up. Looked like a bomb went off in there. So we're walking through there, and we come up on this old, this area of dried up mud. And that's what Robbie calls a track trap. And we got to shine our lights on there, and you can kind of make out what kind of looks like a footprint, a big footprint. Not a big footprint, but a big foot. So anyway, we find that. And then we're walking along up through there, and Robbie and DA's son, they're kind of in the back of the group at this time, and they've got I think it's a thermal camera of some sort that Robbie had, but they're looking on it, and they can kind of see what looks like a bigger object that, it's a being of some kind, and they're looking back there. So anyway, they see that, and we get to walking down the trail, and I'm in the back with Robbie at this time, and DA's in the front. And Robbie's looking up. I'm facing Robbie to the right. And Robbie's looking at me towards the left, and he says, "Hold on a minute, Wyatt. I think I see something." So he shines his light, and we got our lights turned on. And Jerry, if you could bring up the picture of the deer carcass hanging in the tree.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We can do that.
Some of these pictures remind me of the stuff I found hanging out of my deer stands.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. That's crazy.
You sure about that, Jeff? That's pretty. Okay.
We won't name any names.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Explain to me how that got up there.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, that kind of don't believe in this stuff are going to be like a big cat put that in there.
How far up would be my?
I think it was probably 6 or 7 foot, maybe 7 to 8. I'm not. I didn't have a tape measure at that time. I should have.
It was just a tornado.
Yeah, it was a tornado. But yeah, we found that, and you can tell kind of down at the bottom how red that is.
Mm-hmm.
It was still pretty fresh, and down below it you could see there was blood on the ground where the blood had dripped off it. Like I said, people are going to say that a big cat put that up there. That tree wasn't big enough around for a big cat to get up there and play around and put something in the tree. And look at how it's intricately draped across those limbs.
Yes.
Exactly.
It wasn't just slung. It wasn't just slung up there. It was put over 2 different limbs.
Man, it looks all shredded too.
That reminds me of how those carcasses were laid over the rungs on my ladder stands.
Really?
It looked like something had just, how you just take a coat and drape it over the back of a chair.
Right.
Looked like somebody did this to these carcasses.
Dang.
Like you just laid it over the back of a chair.
Yeah.
But the only problem was that chair was about 8 foot off the ground.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what put that up there, but
15-foot ladder stand. It was like, almost to the stand itself.
Right.
And my friends are like, "Oh, is that your crackhead cousin?" I'm like, he ain't carrying that up into there. He's gonna strip all the meat off of it and carry it up in there. Okay.
Now, this isn't the only time we found part of a deer hide hanging in a tree at Combs Ferry. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit.
Okay.
But as soon as we seen that, we got DA and everybody back there. We started looking at it. We talked about it later. We were thinking that kind of probably a territorial marker.
You guys got another interesting thing from there that I still.
We're getting to that.
That
one's
slow down, Jeff. Slow down.
That one's probably my favorite.
It really is the coolest, probably. I'm not gonna lie.
It is the coolest. Just how that ended up there, I don't even.
Your guess is as good as mine. But so anyway, when we start, I see this happening, and that was probably the coolest thing I'd seen in the tree ever at night in the woods until we walked just a little further down the road. And we seen the Missouri tree trout hanging in the tree.
The Missouri tree trout.
Okay, I'll show it. Now that Jeff just had to push us to that next photo, didn't he?
I know the Missouri tree trout's a personal favorite.
Yeah, I'm pretty fond of that one.
Only Jeffrey.
Yeah.
What do you think,
David?
Explain
how
still
that
with us, David? I'm making sure David ain't froze up. Okay, he's working. Okay.
There's just some drunk guy out there throwing trout heads up into the trees.
Right.
Charlie the climbing tuna, as somebody called it.
But yeah. That fish head there was, you can see how small that tree limb is, or that tree. It's just basically a sapling. And you can tell it's got jagged edges on it or something. It looks like it's been torn and not cut off.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Of course, the eyes are missing. So we were thinking territorial markers. After we start seeing all this stuff, I text Richard. I'm like, I wasn't real scared, but I wanted to make sure that he didn't leave us and go fishing somewhere off in the lake quite a ways away. I'm like, hey, don't get too far away from here because there's something out here. So anyway, we get to walking out. We didn't know it, but Steve, he ended up having part of his leg bone was broke when he got off the boat. We just didn't know it at that time. So
of course, the guy that's supposed to be
the medic.
The medic for the weekend injures himself.
Yeah, I felt bad because I actually helped him off the boat. I grabbed his hand and helped him step down. And I guess he just landed on it wrong. But he had actually ended up breaking his leg.
Wyatt, how high off the ground was the Missouri tree trout?
It wasn't real high off the ground. It was probably about eye level.
You were 10 minutes late on that question, son.
Sorry. My kid was beeping in over here.
Come on, man. Stop ruining my jokes.
I gotta go plug his computer in.
Right. Sorry, you guys hear my dogs barking. My wife just.
Oh, okay. I was getting ready to say, Jeff's got company, but it's not his dogs.
Yeah, it's my dogs.
That's all good.
I got 2 Siberian Huskies, and they get pretty excited when people get home. Doc Holliday and Annie Oakley are their names.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah. we got my male, Doc Holliday, and we were thinking of a name, and Doc Holliday was Wyatt Earp's friend in Tombstone, so we had to go with Doc Holliday. Then we got the
Nice.
female about a year later, and we named her Annie Oakley.
Okay. Cool deal.
So anyway,
Okay, where we at, Wyatt?
we're getting to where we're fixing to start leaving the peninsula.
Okay.
So we're walking through there, and we decided it's probably a good time to get out of there. I think DA had asked Steve if he could keep going, or whether we should probably think about go ahead and getting on out of here. I'm pretty sure Steve said I could keep going, but we decided it was a good time to leave. So anyway, DA and his buddy, they get to looking on, I think it was Google Earth, and we found an old boat ramp along the other side of the peninsula. So we decided to make our way towards that, and we get in contact with Richard to meet us at that boat ramp. We get over there, and as we're getting over there, Richard, I think he was texting me. He's like, "I see eye shine in the trees over here," and we're getting pretty close to the boat ramp at that time, and we all start trying to go out there just a little ways and look for the eye shine. We couldn't find it. Anyway, we decided let's start loading the boat up. I believe it was, I can't remember the exact order everybody got out there, but I think Steve and another guy, and then it was me and one of DA's other buddies, and then it was DA, Robbie, and Noah left in the campground there. And DA had said when Richard was taking me and the other guy over to the boat ramp, he said everything started kind of getting closer. Everything, they could hear several things moving in the woods, and it was kind of converging on them. They were seeing the eye shine in the trees and stuff. By the time Richard got back to the boat ramp, DA said that they were back down into the water with their heels in the water with their guns drawn because it was getting that close.
I remember them telling me about that.
Yeah. So there was kind of wondering, DA and them were talking about, if one of us has to be left behind to wait for another boat, then DA said it will be me. I'm answering Roger's question. It's a total eclipse shirt.
Total eclipse.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but is it a Beast TV shirt?
No, I need one of those.
Yeah.
Avocado on his shirt.
Not avocado, Roger.
Only holler.
Oh, good old Roger. I really enjoy his show, too. He's got a great show.
Absolutely. We let him think out anyway. He does a really good job. His interviews are awesome.
He does a really good job. I really enjoy his shows.
He's going to start making me do my homework soon.
Don't worry. One night we're firing this thing up. We ain't turning it off.
There you go.
Till after the 6 hour mark.
Coming after you, Roger. It's a matter of time.
Hey, we've already done we've already done close to 5 hours on some of these.
Yeah.
Piece of cake. Piece of cake.
What was Mark's episode was 4 hours last time, right? A little over 4.
Yeah, we went on for so long. I fell asleep for about 45 minutes of it.
You
He
did?
was able to get a cat nap and get back up and have
I got
energy.
4 phone calls from Wendell, and I didn't answer any of them.
By the way, Wendell is on and again,
Wendell
it's
is
fine.
Jump ship had gone to Moggs tonight.
Moses is having a good show, I'm sure. And
Wendell has a good show. Wendell has a good show too. He's had some pretty awesome guests on there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got some footprint in the gravel dirt here or something here. It's hard to find on that one screen.
So anyway, DA, they were trying to discuss who was going to stay on the boat, and Robbie's like, DA, you can't stay here by yourself. You won't be here when we get back. And so they talked to Richard, and is there any way we can get 3 on here? And Richard's like, yeah, we'll just have to go slow. And so when they were backing out of the campground, they were shining their lights over there, and I guess DA said there was 10 or 12 sets of eye shine in the trees, just staring back at them.
Yeah,
Doesn't
Robbie's crazy butt was going to stay there.
Yeah,
doesn't one of these videos, I believe, shows
yeah,
some
I have.
eye-shine? Yeah,
It's at a different time, but yeah, we have some eye shine coming up.
yeah, there is some eye shine in the video coming up. Pretty cool stuff.
I'll try to hurry it along. I know.
No. You're fine.
Uh,
Jeff's got all night. You're fine.
anyway, we go and we drop everybody off at the boat ramp and say our goodbyes and stuff. And I thought that was the best night ever because I finally got to meet D.A. Roberts. He's, my favorite author. I was giddy as a little schoolgirl. So D.A., if you're on here, I really enjoyed getting to meet you for the first time.
And DA is our most watched show. Still.
Really?
Yep.
I actually watched it. I went back and watched this show not too long ago, and I just finished Greg's episode where he was on in December, just a little bit ago too.
Well,
We
Man
had
Crush
mul-
Mondays, I know
multiple
Milkman keeps
episodes
going
of
back
Greg.
and watching it. Milkman keeps going back and watching the DA episode. That's why he's got so many hits.
I don't blame him.
No, I don't because I can't watch myself. I can't stand listening to myself.
How do you think the rest of us feel? I just
The only
kidding.
time I can watch the shows when I'm not on it. So,
Well, we enjoy listening to you, Jeff. So
Yeah, we do.
everybody enjoys listening to me snore too.
That too.
Some
yeah,
do.
exactly, Greg. Yeah, Da and Robbie, they were both talking back and forth about who was going to get to stay and who was going to go, but they decided, we better all get off there at the same time. And the reason was, as much activity as they started having there at the end, I believe in my heart of hearts, I think they can probably get violent if they want to. Hey, Robbie.
Robbie's in the house.
Robbie Raines. Everybody go buy his book.
I just finished it the other week. He did a good job on that for writing the first book.
He did a real good job. He's fixing to have another one come out too pretty soon.
Well, why? Maybe here sometime we should have already had him on about his book. But anyway, maybe we'll get to that here very, very soon. Anyway,
Greg, if I had a minigun, that would be awesome.
Too.
yeah.
But yeah, in my heart of hearts, I think they can probably get violent if they want to. And I think if just one person would have been left by themselves, Richard would have got back to that boat ramp at the peninsula, and there would have been nobody there. It would have been a missing 411. And that's what I believe.
Wow.
So it's a good thing we got out there when we did.
Yeah.
So anyway, we dropped DA and Robbie and everybody off, and me and Richard, we go back out on the lake, and Richard fishes for just a little bit. And we get back to the boat ramp that we put in at, which was at a totally different boat ramp than what we picked DA and them up at. And there's a whole bunch of pea gravel and stuff. I get off the boat, and if you want to pull the footprint in the gravel up, we find this. I'm like, Richard, does this look like a footprint to you? And, we kind of thought it was. So I start snapping pictures and stuff. That was all I had for scale at that time. My wallet says about 3.5 inches long. So that track was probably 13, 16 inches long. I don't know for a fact. I wish I'd have had my tape measure at the time.
It's got some depth to it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how well it's showing to you all, but looking on the bigger screen over here, it's got some depth. That might even give you a better idea.
Yeah. There were some parcels and stuff there. To the naked eye, that looks like a human footprint, but if you kind of get to studying it, you can almost see a toe in the indentation there. Maybe not in that particular one, but I think I had several like that. And that could be a human footprint, but it's awful deep into the rocks and stuff. See, up there at the very corner on the left-hand edge at the very top, you can kind of see what looks like a toe.
Up in here.
No, down here closer to the track, actually. Anyway,
I'm looking at a bad screen, so
that may not be anything, but that one track in particular definitely looks like a footprint to me. Those are at a different time there, Jerry.
Oops, sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, we found that.
What's
after
in
we
your
got back
wallet?
yeah. I think that was my broken credit card after my wallet got ran over earlier in the year. But
Yeah.
that's a story for another time. But I'm real bad about losing stuff and leaving things on top of cars. Let's just put it that way. But
Sounds
that's why I
familiar.
leave mine in the console. It's hard for anything to happen in there.
yeah, I've really got to pay attention to what I do, or I'll leave stuff somewhere I shouldn't leave it. So
Yep. Guilty as charged.
yeah. So I guess the next thing that happened is going to be my Dogman encounter.
Oh boy.
Me and Richard, we went out. I think it was just the month after we went to Combs Ferry. I think it was August, or it might have been the month. I think Combs Ferry happened the end of June, early July. Anyway, this happened in August. We were back out in our normal cove, and we didn't have a whole lot go on. We started hearing some owl calls. They didn't particularly sound like owls. I went back. I have a video of that. I didn't send that one in, but I couldn't really hear the trill at the end. You know, Kumbo says that most of the time, if it doesn't have a trill at the end, it's, it could be a booger. But didn't have much happen besides those owl calls. So we decided we're going to go back out, and we went back off to the left where I found the structure. That just a little bit different cove, not very far away. We start shining our lights up into the tree light, the bank and the trees there, and we see four or five sets of eye shine. I just thought it was weird because most of the eye shine was like it almost looked like it was laying flat on the ground, and it kind of bugged me for a while, and I finally watched an episode. I think it was Mysteries Unknown with Joshua Smith, and I was listening to Harley Owen's encounter where he turned around and he had a Dogman just laying flat on the ground, like like that.
You mean the pit? I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
We've had him on twice.
yeah, I like Harley. He's a good dude.
Yep.
But he was laying flat on the ground. So I kind of got to, a little while later after this had happened, I kind of got to piecing them together. Well, maybe they were laying flat on the ground. Anyway.
Is it the picture you're thinking about where it looks just like the head sticking up off the...
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if that was that the same time that he seen the Dogman that he took the picture? I can't remember.
Might have been. I can't remember.
Yeah, I've seen that picture. That's a really good photo.
You can see the eyes. There's no disputing what that is.
Yeah, that's a creepy picture.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's this one set of eye shine that's not laying flat on the ground. It's about probably 6 or 7 feet up behind a tree or beside a tree. And Richard, my headlamp had died sometime in the middle of this.
This all usually happens, them things.
Yeah. Richard's didn't, but mine did. This all happened. This all took place for about 10 or 15 minutes, I'd say. Anyway, Richard said this set of eyes kept poking its head back and forth behind the tree. And finally, whenever he shone his light on it at the exact right angle, I caught the silhouette of something that had a snout like a dog. And I was looking into this thing's eyes, which probably wasn't a good idea at all. But when I was looking in those eyes, I felt an evil presence. And I don't know what it was. I'm not 100% saying it was a Dogman, but it had a snout like a dog. And, and the eyes were evil. That's all I can tell you. And I'll stand by the evil part all day because I did not get a good feeling when I looked in those eyes. And
your intuition, I guess, will
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Usually it doesn't lie to you. So
You get a completely different feeling when them things are around.
Yeah. I didn't particularly. I kind of felt a little uneasy after that. You would think that would be the experience where I drew my equalizer and not just when a rock got thrown in the woods. But at this time, I had several things happen, so I wasn't quite as jumpy. But anyway, we decided we're going to get out of there, and we head back to the boat ramp. Now, this is the same boat ramp that we put in as when we went to Combs Ferry. Let me answer Don's question real quick. I just seen it pop up in chat. It was kind of like I believe it was like a yellowish. It was more yellow than it was anything. There might have been a little green mixed in with it, but it was more yellow than anything.
yikes.
we get back to the boat ramp. If you want to pull up the skinny track, Jerry.
Yep. Right.
I think it'll probably be a couple more past that one.
Yeah. That's not what I'm looking for. It won't let me do it.
It's a different track, Jerry.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to advance it. It won't let me advance it.
I'm sorry, buddy. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah, those are up there.
These okay. Try to.
Now, if you notice those, they're a lot more skinny than the other ones that we found the first time.
Yes.
And it kind of flares off at the end of the track.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I was thinking Bigfoot again whenever we first found these. But whenever me and Richard went on DA's show, Robbie got to saying, I would probably put those more along the lines of a Dogman track, just because of how skinny it is and it kind of flares off at the top up there. But
I think there's another track here too with it.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah,
one.
that is a lot skinnier. Yeah.
Jerry, do you remember that one that Burkhart and I talked about finding on the peninsula that looks skinny?
Yes.
In the mud.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of looks similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it wasn't that.
I wish.
Yeah, I was hoping it wasn't either, Jeff. I'm like, Robbie, you didn't have to tell me that. He's like, well, I guess it's better to know than not know, right?
Yep.
I relate to that thing they caught on that Ring doorbell camera.
Yeah, he definitely could be.
Yeah.
I just thought it was coincidental that we went to Combs Ferry and came back and we had what looked like Bigfoot tracks. And
I'll tell you, one of the best reactions I ever saw was Jerry listening to that Ring doorbell camera.
Yeah, that's a good video.
Yeah.
And then we get back to the boat ramp again after we had what I believe was a Dogman sighting, and we find what looks like Dogman tracks. So are these things? Do they have like groups of them that some of them stay there at the boat ramp and then the other ones are out at the other place? I don't get it, but anyway,
Yeah, it's.
I'm not saying any of this is 100% proof of anything,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
It's
that
pretty
area
coincidental.
you guys go to on the regular basis, are you thinking that's mainly Dogman in there or what?
I think there's both in there because that where we seen the Dogman was not too far from where we usually have most of our Bigfoot encounters.
Yeah, when I first, started talking about this stuff, I never thought I'd get to the Dogman thing, but then in the last couple of years, that Dogman stuff has become way more prevalent than it.
Yeah. I got the text in DA on the way back to the boat ramp at that time. I was asking him all sorts of stuff about Dogman. And then a little while later, he's like, be careful. Those things will follow you home. I'm like, will they follow you home like 30 miles? He's like, don't be surprised, especially if you shoot at it. I'm like, well, I didn't shoot at it. So I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah. I think Scott Carpenter can attest to that. I don't know how far they followed him, but he had quite a problem at one time with some something following
And
up.
don't ever go out there and start feeding them and then forget to
No.
do.
Don't do that.
I have no desire to start feeding anything
You
out
don't,
there.
you don't want to be like Brian Barber, get in trouble with the Game Commission for feeding peanut butter to the Sasquatch, and then when the Sasquatch gets mad at the neighbors where he was feeding them, they start hurling, Walmart 4-pounders at the house.
Right.
Storms fell apart. We're good to go.
Yeah,
Good deal.
But we need the rain though. We're really dry. But
Dude.
I tell you, I'm glad. I'm as much as I wanted it to not rain when I was at Michelle. That 1,700 acre forest fire needed it.
Yeah.
There was a big fire burning in the forest, but
three of them.
it was
Man.
far. They were far enough away that you couldn't smell them. You couldn't even see the smoke from them.
Mhm.
That's how big that place is.
It's expansive. Covers 3 counties. Pennsylvania
Yeah,
counties
it's
aren't small.
it's over 500 square miles or something. I think they were saying that thing reaches.
Dang. That's a pretty good sized area of land.
I don't think it's quite that big. It might be. I don't. I have to look at it and see.
I thought that's what it said when I looked it up. I can't remember.
That's pretty huge. I don't think it's that big. Anyway.
It's a big forest. It's
Oh yeah. I'm not saying it's not big, but 500 miles. Ooh.
I swear that's what it said when I was looking at it.
Oregon don't have that big.
Probably not.
Anyway, where we at? I got some grassy photos here. I'm interested in getting a couple of these videos. We're getting there. We're not far from
Yeah,
it.
well, I'll make the next one quick. It wasn't a real long encounter. Well, actually, I got two more real quick. Now, I've never actually laid eyes on a Bigfoot. I think I had a partial sighting one time. We were at, we have smelled one at this same area. It smelled like, when we walked by it, it smelled like chicken poop. And we walked by the same area not too long after that, and it smelled like wet dog. I was talking to DA about that. He's like, yeah, you could have been pretty close to one and just not known it. So I had that smell. And then at this same area, it's an area we call Three Fields, down here in Arkansas. It was before deer season. They were looking for a place to put some deer stands in this area. And we'd walked all the way back to this, the third field. And we decided, well, there's really not a good place to put one there. So we're walking back out, and I hear something start busting the brush off to our right. And I look over there, and I could see through this like little narrow opening through the brush because it's real grown up.
Oh, there it goes. Mary just said solve that mystery.
132 square miles. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I don't know what I was reading. 500 square. Thanks, Barry.
85,000 acres is a lot of land.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm looking, and I can just barely see through this little like narrow opening, and it looks like something black walking across through there. And the way it walked off, it's almost like it was very fluid. I guess some people say it looks like gliding off. But the thing is, I only got a little narrow view, so I couldn't see the whole picture behind it. But I kind of think that may have been one because Richard's actually heard wood knocks and stuff out in that area in the past. And like I said, we've smelled it there. And then if you want to bring up those grassy tracks, Jerry.
Okay. No problem.
That's what we believe was a track. I've got a picture of you can kind of see the toe up here to the right. You can see where the grass is smashed down in there and stuff. That's not a very good picture. I'll be honest, but I've got one where it's got a tape measure in it. You might be able to tell a little more than that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. There's the advanced arrow. There we go.
That's at a different angle. Yeah.
So there we go. Oop. Let me show that one again. I didn't mean to skip past all of that.
You can kind of see the way it curves and the big toe indention up there in the right hand corner.
Yes. Yep.
I can see it. I don't know if everybody else can.
Up in here.
Yes. This is at that same area where I thought I had a partial sighting. That's just a little lanky tape measure. I should have had a better one.
What was the measurement on that?
Well,
It's kind of hard to tell here.
I have one laying there at one point of it. It looks like it's 12, but I have another one at a different angle, and I think it was closer to. I had the tape measure positioned at what I thought was a better angle, and it was close to 16 inches, I think. So between 12 and 16 inches. I don't know which one of them was the actual correct measurement.
Okay. Got a few of these.
Yeah, I think I just. Oh yeah, that was some poop we found at the Combs Ferry the next time we went there in the daytime.
I'm not jumping ahead of you too far, am I?
You're fine. That time we seen the footprint, those grassy footprints. That was about all that happened. We could hear something faintly walking in the woods on past us, but that was basically it on that one. Yeah, we went back to Combs Ferry during the daytime, and I took some pictures. You can scroll through those if you want to, Jerry, and I'll kind of explain them.
Okay. Let's see. Come on. Cursor, get over there. Get back to my main screen here. I think if we start here, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that was what we thought was a partial track up at the right in the right hand corner of that little bare area. You can kind of see what looks like a toe in the right hand corner up there. On the yeah. We took some pictures. I didn't have a very good camera at that time. I was just using my cell phone. My cell phone camera. I think that was a partial track, but it's not showing up real well. More poop we found.
Yeah.
Kind of what looked like a print in a bare, kind of a more bare area where there wasn't as much leaves. We found some that were, I think they were 16 or 17 inches long, and then we found one that was like 10 inches long.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm sorry for the bad photos. Those didn't turn out the best in the world. You could see it better with your naked eye than you can on the pictures.
Sometimes that happens, that's for sure.
Yep.
There's the interesting part. That's another piece of a deer carcass hanging in a tree.
Wow. How about that?
Now, this is a totally different time. This is 6 or 7 months later. And it just happens to be hanging there when we decide to walk by again.
Is that showing up pretty good for you guys? I can.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you guys were saying about the tracks earlier, like when I got mine, it's hard to get good pictures of them.
It really is.
Unless you've got casting material. You just can't do them justice unless you see them in person.
Right. Love you. Sorry, I was telling my little girl good night.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine might have fell asleep.
Yeah,
Thought it
that
got
was
quiet.
Asleep.
during the daytime. That time we decided to go in there and walk around and explore.
Now, is that at Cove's Ferry or was that at a different? Was that at?
That was Combs Ferry again.
Okay. How far is that from the? How far is it from your place?
It's probably 45 minutes. It's not too
I'm
far.
sorry, you guys aren't far
No,
from
I'm
Missouri at
I'm
all.
I'm right at an hour from DA, and I'm about 30, 30 minutes from where we
You're
go to
like
the
right
lake.
on the line, basically.
Right, I'm 30 miles from the Missouri line. It's 30 minutes to get to where we go to the lake, and that was a little
Jerry and
further.
I are like 5 minutes from the PA line.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd love to get up there and visit the northeast, the northeast part of the country.
You'd like it. We'd like to go down south.
Like I said, you've got an open invitation anytime you want to come down here.
I've got so many open invitations to come south. And out towards Missouri, it's insane.
There you go.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, it's on the
Mary's-
bucket list to get down around them areas for sure. Definitely want to come down.
Well, I'm gonna be up that way during the Forest County Festival. Be up
Mary,
in
that
Mary's.
is a lot of land.
Big
Yeah,
area.
Allegheny is a big area.
And active.
Yeah, I keep
Yeah,
I keep threatening to drive up to one of those Allegheny campouts.
boys, I could tell you if I had the
Mary.
money, this would be all I did was go to different
Oh,
forests and just camp and look for
absolutely.
Bigfoot.
Yep.
I've already been like fantasizing over like rigs I'd be driving to places for
Oh.
if money wasn't an option.
Yeah.
If these dairy cows started making me multi-million, that ain't ever gonna happen. But if
Well,
money
man's
was
got
an option, I've already got a couple of things on my wish list
me too.
as far as four-wheel drive campers to basically it's a tank. It's a glorified tank.
They've got some pretty awesome ones these days.
Oh, I saw one, Jerry. I told you about that one that pulled in while we were camping this weekend at Michaux.
Yeah.
We were only staying there overnight, but I mean that thing looked like you took a dually pickup and put a camper on top of it. I mean the thing it had some impressive tires and suspension too. I mean it was awesome.
Oh yeah. We got some videos now.
Yes, sir.
We got 4 video clips here. Now, there's going to be some whispered language on here. It's going to have an F-bomb or two. So just, we apologize ahead of time if it offends you, but I didn't want to edit it out, so we're just going to play it as is. And, pretty cool stuff here. Turn your volume up a little bit as well.
Yeah, I apologize. All I had at the time was my cell phone. It's a newer cell phone, so I was actually pretty proud of what it did. But
yeah,
I need a voice recorder.
I can suggest a few.
Which ones do you like?
Well, you can the Zooms are good, but I've had pretty good luck with just buying like OM systems off Amazon. I've got one of those, and it's probably like I don't know, $30 or less. It's cheap.
I think those are the same ones that Spencer was suggesting to me.
Yeah, he had. That's the ones he suggested to me to get.
Yeah,
and then
got the old
he told me
Sony.
to get one of the Zooms.
I have one of the Zooms, and I have an old Sony, and that Sony, I like it better than the Zoom.
Yeah, that OM systems is awesome.
Yeah,
I like it better than the Zoom.
Yeah,
that was the one I was looking at. Was one of the OMs. I think they used to be called.
You could buy a half a dozen of them and just throw them out. And if you lose one, you're not out a whole lot of money if something happens to one of them.
Right.
Okay, we'll go to video 1 here.
Well, this is which one is it? Is that the 117 clip, Jerry?
Yes, yes, sir.
This was our first outing this year. It was at the very end of March, and anyway, we get going out into our cove, and we get out there, and it's dead quiet. This is going to be. I'll explain more. This is a picture or photo of the eye shine.
Here we go. Maybe get over there. And again, turn your volume up a little bit. Again, language, but it's okay.
Now, Jerry, if you just want to play the first like 30 seconds of the video again, there's nothing else after that. Really.
We'll start right here. Just watch. Catches up here. Right in here. Right there was some. Right there.
At one point, you can kind of see two of them shine at the same time. But
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing this on when you guys were on the Cryptid podcast.
right.
I don't remember.
Yeah. There's really nothing after the first 30 seconds.
Okay. Again, I'll go ahead and play it again. So you just pay attention in this area.
There's
Maybe I
one.
can make it. Let me make it bigger.
Yeah, it almost looks like they're peeking out from behind the limbs there. You just see that eye shine flash.
One more time. There you go.
Now, if I remember correctly, didn't you say that's a ridge, like that's working its way up the side of the hill there?
Yeah, it is. So we don't really know if they were in the trees or if they were standing on the hill behind the trees.
I'm almost thinking they might have been on the hillside behind the trees.
I think that there's a possibility for sure.
Look behind the trees, just from
Just
my
the way the
eyeballs.
lay of the land looks, you can tell how it comes up.
Yeah.
No, that's what it looks like to me, that they were just kind of peeking out.
Right. That's what I was thinking. That's anyway, we got to the lake at this time and we get to our cove. Richard has running lights along the side of his boat. And when you turn those on, you can see both banks of the lake on either side.
Now, what
Anyway,
time do you guys usually go in when you go at night?
I think we got there right around 9:00 that night, maybe 9:30. I can't remember 100%, but it was completely dark. We had the lights off on the boat, and it was dead quiet. I mean, you couldn't hear nothing. When we first got to the boat ramp itself, we heard like a screech owl off in the distance. But when we got to our cove, it was completely quiet. It was dead quiet. Richard's like, let's turn the lights on. Usually when we turn the lights on is when things kick off. Okay. Turn the lights on, and less than 5 minutes later, we could hear something start pacing us on the right-hand side. Sounds like it's walking on two legs.
Wow.
Now, how far from shore were you at that point?
Probably 40 or 50 yards. We're right in the middle of this cove. It's probably, it may be 100 yards across, maybe not even that far, but we could hear something walking off to our right, and we're shining the lights. And of course, just like every other time, we can't see what's over there. we get to that power line I was telling you about earlier tonight. And we're like, all right, maybe we'll get to see it walk across the power line. As soon as we get to the power line, it stops. It don't walk a single step further.
Yeah, there's something about power lines. I've got one that runs right through here.
Yeah. And we're like, all right. We turn around. That's where we normally turn around at. And we start coming back the other direction. And we hear a pack of coyotes off in the distance. We're like, all right. It's starting to get a little interesting anyway. And we go a little further. I'm thinking, man, we need to see some eye shine or something. You know, need to kick it off. Is what I'm thinking. That's when, you know, about 5 minutes later, we seen the eye shine that we just watched on the video. And anyway, we take the video of the eye shine, start trolling out a little further. I think we may have heard coyotes again. All of a sudden, we start hearing owl calls. First one we heard, Richard's like, "Is that an owl?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so." It sounded like an owl, but it didn't sound right. And we go a little further. And then lots of owls start going off, more than one.
Yeah.
Was David wanting us to wait on him real quick?
No, it's okay. He had a phone call come in. So
Okay.
we're good.
Anyway, multiple owls start going off. And they just start going off. And they start getting excited and they start going off into different noises. I can't explain what they did, but it wasn't owl calls anymore. It was almost like partly monkey, all sorts of different stuff. And we go a little further. I kind of got a little bit of that on camera of the owl calls. I think that's going
to be the 114, I think, coming up next.
The
right?
114. Yeah, you can play that one if you want to.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, what I wanted to ask you, Wyatt, do you ever heard what sounds like blue heron?
I don't believe I have, Jeff.
I have.
Have you?
Right here.
Really?
3 of them.
Now, where are they native to?
They're native to this area.
Are they?
And if you ever hear one, it is the freakiest sounding thing you'll ever hear.
Is that the same thing as you'd call like a crane?
They're similar to a crane.
Okay.
But when they screech, it's hellacious. And I'm still convinced that it was not herons because I've never heard 3 of them in 3 different locations.
Exactly.
At 4 o'clock in the morning next to my barn, surrounding my manure pit. The only place they weren't at was the barn.
Right.
That was where I was standing.
I'd say that's a good indication. It probably wasn't a blue heron.
Yeah, I don't think it's blue heron.
Turn your volume up.
You can hear something. Wendell, there is no lady talking.
Were you guys able to hear that at all?
It's hard to hear, but yeah, I've got to turn it all the way up and pray nobody blasts my eardrums out.
All right. Yeah. Like I said, it was filmed on a cell phone camera. That's all I had at the time.
Yeah, we got a 48-second clip next. That might looks
Now
like
that's
it's
when the owl went off straight into a monkey sound.
okay. So we'll listen to this one next. I couldn't hear nothing on that one that time.
That's the one problem with cell phones. It's hard to hear them.
You can hear it. You just got to have a real good set of headphones or just hold the phone right up to your ear. I couldn't hear it there either.
And we got this background noise. There you go.
Yeah, Leanne's right. It's hard to hear without earbuds.
Jeffrey,
Sorry.
we'll play it again. Just let it loop.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You can't hear it very good, guys. I apologize.
That's it. Actually, that last video I could hear very well. You could definitely hear. I don't think it's coyote. I don't know. I'm not. I don't hear a lot of coyote a lot, but
Oh, that's what I was asking Richard. I'm like, is that a coyote? And we both just,
ooh,
he's like, no, I've been out here a long time and I've never heard a coyote sound like that.
yeah,
It was a real long howl.
yes, yeah. You could. I had to turn my volume all the way up on that one. Jeff, I would yell at you, Jeff. You talk and like, oh, blew my eardrums out.
I've listened to that when he's had it on. I think
Yeah.
when you guys were on the Cryptid podcast, I listened to it with headphones, and you could definitely hear something in there. And I've heard that long, drawn out howl over here before.
Right.
I always thought it was coyotes until I got to listen to coyotes more.
Right. Yeah. It was a pretty interesting night. But like I said, I'm sorry you couldn't hear it as well in there. But the one, it sounded like a monkey. I was talking to Spencer. We were discussing it. It could have been an owl caterwauling. So I sent it to him. He's going to have it analyzed.
Yeah.
Put it through the spectrograph.
Yeah, owls will make some freaky noises.
Yeah. But the more I listen to it, I hold it real close up to my ear and I'm able to hear it. It sounds like it's coming from a primate, in my opinion. But
I heard that when I play it away from StreamYard, directly off, your feed from the email,
right
from where you have that listed. I can hear that. Now tonight I could not hear that.
Yeah.
Through StreamYard, so maybe something to do with.
It could be.
I don't know.
Huh.
But yeah,
That's-
I definitely
I just
heard what you thought was a primate. Yes.
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah,
that away from
it could be an owl caterwauling, but the more I listen to it, the more it sounds like a primate that's making the noise to me. Yeah, it was a pretty interesting night.
Yeah. Everything okay, David?
It's all good.
Okay.
Am I being loud in the background?
No,
You're fine now. No, I'm just. You're fine.
Dee Dee said she's
No,
sorry. You're all right, babe.
She's fine. She's fine.
no, she's fine.
The only reason I muted you because you were typing. I could chip, chop, 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 chop.
Oh, you could hear it, really?
Oh, big time, yeah, big time.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
I just wanted to, but I think a lot of the volume is taken away when you play through StreamYard for whatever reason.
Yeah, that could be.
When I play, like I say, when I play it outside of StreamYard, I can hear what you're talking about.
Okay, well, it makes me feel better. I'm not crazy.
No, you're not. No, I can hear it. Yep.
And that howl, it's kind of hard to hear, but it was kind of far off in the distance. But yeah, when I asked him if it was coyotes, he's like, no. That kind of got me thinking, well, since I thought it was coyotes to begin with, well, maybe it was Dogman way off in the distance since I had the sighting or the partial sighting of the Dogman just right over the hill, basically. But
Why is Leanne getting everybody in trouble? I don't understand. She said, I'm getting y'all in trouble tonight. I don't know what that was all about either. You okay, David? Freezing up again?
I don't know what's going on with my computer.
Good stuff. So what does the future hold for Wyatt Estes? I mean, are we going to continue obviously getting out there and trying to?
yeah, we definitely want to. The goal is to get a sighting, of course, a full-on sighting.
Yes.
I've got some other areas. Probably start doing some nighttime investigations out towards where I went to deer camp and stuff. I actually had a buddy that he had a sighting, like real close to where we go to deer camp at. He said this thing had to duck under a 9-foot branch to get underneath it. So whatever it was pretty good size. And it had,
where is deer camp at? Is it far from you?
it's about an hour from me, maybe an hour and a half to get out there because it's.
Now, is that in Arkansas or is it in Missouri?
That's in Arkansas. That's about you get there and then it's about another 12 miles on dirt road to get out to the camp. So
And that's where you used to live.
actually, my deer camp's not far from where I used to live, probably about 5 or 6 miles when I grew up.
Now, does any of your family still live there?
On my mom's side, yeah, a few of them still live out there.
Have they ever said anything?
Well, I haven't asked them. I really want to. Now, my grandpa that seen the one out there, he's actually on my dad's side, but my mom's family has lived out there, since I was a little kid, or way before that actually. But I want to ask them, but I just never have.
Yeah. Sorry, Hillary, you have to go back and watch. Start over.
How long's your family been out there, Wyatt?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly when they moved out there. My mom's side of the family came from Kentucky, years and years ago, probably in the 1800s, I would say. But I don't know when they actually got to the area they're all living at now. There was a lot of them out there at one time, but my mom's dad had 11 brothers and sisters, so they had a pretty good sized family. Of course, back then you had all the kids to help work the farm and free labor, basically.
And my mom had 3, and I'm the only one that does it. So,
Right.
My mom's family was a family of 14
Wow.
siblings. Yeah, 14.
That's kinda
Southwest Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife's mom, she has, I think, 11 or 12 brothers and sisters. So, yeah, that was a common thing back in the day.
Hi, Hillary. Yeah,
Hi, Hillary.
Henri Hillary.
yeah, it makes me wish I could have gotten more out of my grandfather. I mean, he was here his entire 93 years. He was almost here as long as the farm's been here.
Right. I've had all sorts of other things like paranormal. I could do probably a whole show on paranormal, but I don't really like to talk about it because it was pretty creepy stuff. I seen a UFO not too long ago, at least what I think was a UFO.
Okay.
It was
All ears.
I was walking my dog one night out here in my front yard here in town, and this thing is like it hovers over. It's huge. I don't know what it was, but it was either shaped like an M, like, or it was shaped like a W. Honestly, I can't remember because I was kind of in awe at what I was looking at. But it looked like the can lights that go in the ceiling.
Yeah,
it looked like can lights going throughout the whole shape. Then it just goes over, and then it's out of there. You can't see it anymore. I don't know if it disappeared or if it just got so far away you couldn't see it. But that was kind of weird. I don't know if it was some sort of airplane or what, but it was big and it looked weird.
Oh, to take a picture. If we could just remember to do it, or think, or have something along with you.
Exactly.
That's
we went out to the lake after I got my thermal. I got my thermal early this month in April, and we're back out in our normal cove, and we're trolling along, and we hear a pack of coyotes go off first, but then we hear kind of the long howl again, kind of like what we heard in the last video, or the one video you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes on for just a little bit, and then you can hear coyotes. Then you could hear coyotes chime in with the same thing. But I kind of got a little bit of that on my thermal camera. You can connect it to your phone. I was able to get a little bit of that, but I didn't send it to you because it wasn't very good quality. But anyway, we're going back out, leaving the lake. And, well, we're not really leaving. We're just trolling back the other direction. And the whippoorwills, this whippoorwill, they were being annoying. It was annoying. They were so loud. And of course, we were in the cove, so it would echo off the other side. When it echoed off the other side, it didn't sound like a whippoorwill, but we got to figuring out that was it was the whippoorwill, because when the whippoorwill would stop, the echo would stop. And so we could we come around this one little area, and we finally found where the whippoorwill was at, because we could see the eye shine up in the tree, and when we'd shine in the eyes, the whippoorwill would stop. We're like, well, that's good. It stopped for a little while. Well, we got to coming out of that little area, and of course it started right back up. It was annoying. Well, apparently something else in the woods thought the whippoorwill was annoying, and I wish I would have been able to record this. But it's whatever it was loud, and it almost sounded like the very end of an owl call, like oh, but really loud. But it didn't sound like an owl. But whatever it did it once, and just a little while later, it did it again, and the whippoorwill shut up. What I believe whatever it was ticked off that the whippoorwill was being so loud and was telling it to shut up.
Yeah.
Because it was dead after that. The whippoorwill was. Now a little while later it started up again, but for a little while it was dead. But yeah, I guess that's about it.
That's about it. It's a lot. Some good stuff.
Well, thank you. I know it was long and drawn out, but
They'll be proud of you.
I got a question for you. Have you guys ever heard anything sound like mimics besides like the birds and stuff?
I heard the baby crying in the woods at one time, which I don't know if that's what it was or not. But other than that, no, not really.
Because I've heard snoring. It was mimicking my friend that was asleep in the hammock, and it was in the same place where we just turkey hunted the weekend before.
Really?
This past when we were on our turkey hunt right before I went to my show this weekend. And I heard last year, and then this year I heard what sounded like, the language, them talking back and forth, but you couldn't really make out what it was.
Right.
And I heard that on this trip after everybody was asleep, and I got up in the middle of the night to pee. And I kind of rolled out of my hammock because I'm not that graceful getting out of a hammock in the middle of the night.
I wouldn't be either.
So I heard it, and I got up, and it's still going, and I kind of moved away from my hammock, and it kind of slowed down for a minute, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, all right, guys, I'm just taking a leak. I'm going to get back in here in a minute. And I crawled back in there, and as soon as I did, it started up again.
Now I'm not going to lie, that would freak me out just a little bit.
Well, something happens every time we go to that campsite in Western Maryland, and for whatever reason, I'm usually the only one that hears it.
Right. Yeah, sometimes Richard will hear stuff that I don't hear, and sometimes I'll hear things that they don't hear.
Oh, Dogman sighting.
Oh, there he is. Is that Peanut, David?
You're muted, David. You're muted, David. There you go.
I think
Sorry about that. Dee Dee's cleaning the kitchen. Yeah, that's Lincoln.
Lincoln, okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Lincoln. You got some good-looking pups.
Thank you. They're min pins.
Okay.
We'll do, Hillary. Jeff, you see that? There we go. Nope, that ain't it. There we go. We'll do that.
But yeah, actually, probably my goal, me and Richard, we're wanting to start our own show. I don't know when it'll happen, but that's our goal.
Cool.
I love talking to everybody. I love it.
Now, how far is Richard from you?
About 5 minutes. Yeah.
Sounds familiar, don't you?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. We work together, and then we go out and do all the Bigfoot stuff too. We go deer hunting together, and he's one of my best friends.
Now, how did you and him get on the subject of it?
I was probably my crazy butt talking about Bigfoot one night, more than likely, or he was talking about it one. We really like to watch a lot of the shows on TV. I think
So
that's
he works at the box plant with you.
yeah. Yeah, we were up there talking on his machine one night, and he's like, "Yeah, you need to come out with me sometime." I'm like, "Let's go."
Wyatt produces the boxes that the Pew Pew food goes in.
Yep.
He's not fortunate enough to get free freedom seeds though, unfortunately.
I wish I could, especially
He
with
just
the
makes the boxes that they go in.
Yep. Especially with the cost of that stuff these days, I'd love to get it for free.
You just gotta call Palmetto. They'll send you stuff for next to nothing.
Oh yeah, I got the same pew pew that you got last year.
Yeah, well, I just got another one, and I'm waiting to pick it up. I should have it next week.
Heck yeah.
Them and their random holiday sales.
Yeah, DA sent that to me, and I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. So I jumped on that.
I got another number 12 Pew Pew waiting for me right now.
Did you get the one that Spencer put on
No,
Woodwalkers?
I had already ordered this one on the Easter sale when Spencer put that one up, so I was like, oh,
Heck yeah.
too late.
If anybody's got some questions here, quick for Wyatt, we'll get your question posted up here real quick. Otherwise, we're 2 hours and 15 minutes. So
Wyatt, it was funny when we were talking about doing this, I accidentally said Wyatt Earp, and I think David's like, how'd you manage to get him on? I said I had to take him up. It took a while.
I've been called that my whole life. So
I'm that good of a at getting guests. I was able to dig him up for the show.
Yep.
there you go.
Got him up and revived him.
Well, once going twice. Any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions. How many people in your family believe, Wyatt?
Honestly, I hadn't really talked to a whole lot of them about it. I think I've got my mom convinced because I tell her about it. Now, when I was a kid, she used to say she had, and she thought it was people at the time, but I got to thinking later on in life when I kind of got into this stuff. She said she'd have people outside the house. You know, she thought they were messing with her. And out where I lived, it was very, very remote. I mean, there was houses around, but it was all on a stretch of dirt roads. I guess it could have been people, but I kind of got to think, well, maybe what if these things were out there, you know, harassing her, and she thought it was people messing with her, and it really wasn't people. Right. But
there's an interesting error. Ken lost 3 hours in that part of Arkansas. There were 4 of us, all clueless what happened.
Oh man, what part of Arkansas, Ken?
Yeah, what part of Arkansas?
That's crazy. He also asked if I'd heard of the purple people in Arkansas. And I sure haven't, Ken.
Arkansas is another state that nobody really talks about.
Right.
Yeah, we're starting to hear more and more people talking about Maryland.
Right.
Trying to get a hold of them is a problem.
Of course, we do have the Fouke, you know, the Fouke monster that they also used to talk about that the movie's based off of. Yeah. And Hillary
Ozark Howler.
Yeah, Hillary mentioned the Ozark Howler. I'm pretty sure that legend originated in Arkansas.
My family's from around Little Rock area.
Really? Well,
that's
cool.
where my dad was from.
Well, Ozark Howler was a big thing. Wasn't it the story that, well, didn't Daniel Boone chase one or something?
Supposedly he killed one, I think. And he had it mounted.
I thought that was a yacht, what they called a Yahoo, which was also known. Well, I think he got both of them.
Yeah, I think he got
Bigfoot and he got an Ozark Howler.
Yeah, he had quite the collection from what I hear.
Pretty impressive foot with a muzzleloader if you think about it.
Right. I mean, there's got to be something to it, guys. I mean, the legends go back
And
Yeah.
and there were several.
Way
If
back.
you listen back to some of the stories DAs talked about, there were several U.S. presidents that sat on that.
The concatenated order of the hoo-hoo.
Yeah, that was the group that was all about the Ozark Howler.
Yeah, and I believe
Teddy
it was
Roosevelt was one of the sitting members.
he was the president of it,
He
I
was the
believe.
president of the Hoo Hoo.
And then I think there was another one he was talking about, wasn't there? There was another
Yeah,
president.
I'm trying to remember who it was. If DA was on here tonight, he'd tell you, but I can't remember who it was. There were several presidents, I think, that were involved in that.
Yeah.
And it still makes you think back to the stories that they talk about how Roosevelt was, Bauman.
Right.
When they talk about the Bauman story. Teddy wrote about a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Also makes you wonder why he started the National Park Service.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone. It was one of those two though that they had it.
I think Crockett might have hunted one too.
Yeah. And then they all mysteriously disappeared later on.
Well, Crockett died in the Alamo.
Yeah. But yeah, the stuffed animals that they had, I believe
Oh yeah.
they disappeared
Oh, yeah.
somewhere.
Let's see any more questions coming in. So.
Oh, you're very welcome, Leanne.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, the Howler's something I'd like to look
Yeah.
into as far as researching.
Yeah, I would too.
We did one, yeah.
I guess you've read DA's book about the howler, right?
I've read all of them, so
Yeah.
yes,
That's one of my favorites that he has.
that was one of the one of his newer ones.
Yeah.
I wish I had enough time to read a book.
Well, he's got some
One
of the
day.
stuff on audiobooks, and
Yeah.
okay.
You listen.
It'd be nice if Cam Buckner would do some more readings. He's been so busy though that he hasn't gotten around to it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
It makes you wonder about a lot of the, about a lot of this stuff because there was a lot of guys that grew up in the mountains back in those days, and makes you wonder what they encountered.
Yeah, that's true. There's no
Yep.
telling what these guys seen when they were settling the territories back in the day. I bet it was
Yep.
crazy.
Yep.
Thank you, Kathy.
Well, even Christopher Columbus supposedly had UFOs flying around their boats on the way here and stuff, and it's logged in on their log books and all that.
Okay, I did not know that. That's interesting for sure.
Yep. I think it was going like above it, the ship going in under the ship in the water, then coming back out like it was going around them. And if I remember right, I could be wrong, but
that's crazy nonetheless. That's pretty intense.
yeah.
Yes, he did, Hillary. Bowie and Crockett both died at the Alamo.
Yep.
I believe Linda might argue with you on that.
Have any of you guys been to the Alamo before?
No.
I have. It's pretty neat. My grandparents used to live in San Antonio, so it's a pretty neat place.
I haven't made it past the Mississippi River yet in life, so
I've been to Texas, but I haven't been to San Antonio.
Yeah, that's. I took lots of family vacations down there when I was young. Most of my family's from Texas, but my dad and his parents, they moved up here in the 80s. Then
I've got an uncle that lives in Arizona,
Yeah.
out by Lake Havasu.
I've been to Lake Havasu several times.
I've never been there before.
It's beautiful.
The only place I've been to San Diego, California, because we flew out there when I was in high school. But that's the only place in California I've ever been.
I'm like,
I drove a boat across Lake Havasu when I was an infant. There's a picture of me sitting on the console with a little captain's hat on.
yes. They got you dangling out by your feet out the door.
Yeah. They had a life jacket on me. It was all right.
You're all right. He'll be a zip liner when he grows up.
I also floated towards the Conowingo Dam on a tube that the cover came off of while we were tubing down the river. The entire time I'm floating on that tube, I'm thinking back to that Hostess commercial, the shark looking at the tube from underneath, going, I wonder what that tastes like.
Hillary's on fire tonight. Look out.
You drove when you were an infant. Amazing.
Yeah, I drove when I was in.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions, so we're starting to touch 2.5 hours. It's getting late here in the east.
Yep.
So.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me on. It was really good to meet you guys, and thanks to everybody in the chat.
We appreciate all the input.
All backstage for a minute when we go off.
Okay.
Yep. Are you done, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm done.
He has this delay at his house. I want to go in there and rewire everything with
it's
a
called
router.
ADD, Jerry. That's what it's called.
I was trying to be polite, Jeff, but okay.
I'll think of something important after we get off the show. You know,
That's okay. But again, here soon, Beards and Boogers coming soon. This weekend, if it rains this weekend, we get rained out from pulling. We may do Beards and Boogers this weekend if it works out for Bud and Angie and you, Jeff.
I think Bud and Angie are going to be in Salt Fork.
Okay. Well, we'll make it work sometime soon. We'll get everybody together and have that ghost show. That's going to be cool. Just going to let them tell their stories. Go ahead, David.
I was going to say, Hillary's wanting to know when Wyatt is going back out.
Yes.
It won't be this. It'll probably be a couple weeks, I would say. That's I think when everything will line up again where we can go.
By all means, if you come across something, let us know.
I'll send it your way.
Have you on. We'll gladly have you on and tell us all about it for sure.
Yeah, if we see one crossing the lake in front of us, then that would be the ultimate goal.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
As long as they don't try to pull us out of the boat and eat us, that's all that matters.
That's right. Yeah, I just booked. We just booked a couple days, 3 days, 3 or 4 days. I can't remember. Over here at the state park where that photo came from, David.
Oh yeah, I seen that photo. That was pretty cool.
Did you see that photo? What?
Yeah,
that's not part of this show, but what do you think?
I seen it.
It's you may never see nothing over there ever again. I don't know, but we're definitely gonna be over there. When I tell you, end of June, beginning of March. So.
Jerry, you gonna be able to make it to the Cryptid Fest? Because I think I might be available.
That's up at Paradise, PA.
Paradise, yeah.
What's the date on that, Jeff? Do you remember? Mary's still in here. I know she knows.
I haven't seen her for a while.
Levon's going to be there. I know that. I had it wrote down somewhere here.
Yeah, I did too.
It's in June. I know it's in June. I'm pretty sure.
I
thought I was available.
I thought it was like the last weekend or something.
It's been awesome, Wyatt, just while it's a quiet spell. I'm glad finally got you on here, man. And
I've always enjoyed getting to talk to you in the chats. It's good to actually talk to you.
It's a little different.
Not in person, but to get to see you.
Yeah, it's almost like being a person, huh?
Yeah.
What Hillary's asking what thermal you bought.
How about it's a crap, I can't even think of the name of it now. Hang on one second.
You got an AGM, didn't you?
Yeah, AGM, the TM10 260.
What do we have, Jeff? Oh, mine's over.
We got the TM 160s.
160. That's right.
Yeah, we had ours out over the weekend, but the first night it was so much mist and stuff from the rain that it wasn't really working. Second night we got ours out, but the wind was blowing so hard that it just we didn't go out in the woods too far because nobody wanted to get taken out by a tree branch. But Bud had already tripped over a stick a few months ago. We didn't need him tripping over anything else before his knee surgery.
Yes, Don. I went out with them when they came up, and I think it was late January, early February. We went out to Combs Ferry.
Yeah, I was gonna try to get Doc was doing back in March. He did a class in Chesapeake City, and I forgot which weekend it was, so I didn't end up going to that. But
I would love to get to one of Doc's classes because I'm sure he has some very valuable information.
yeah, I need to start investing in some of his stuff because he's got some great tourniquets and stuff for emergencies. If
Right.
you end up cutting yourself or
Yep.
anything like that.
That was one of my ultimate goals was to get to meet Doc. And when I was talking to DA, I'm like, can I ask him the question? The question that they always say at the beginning. Doc, how the hell are you? Excuse my French. I apologize.
Yeah, okay.
But I was really wanting to ask him that since my name's Wyatt. I finally got to ask him when we went to Combs Ferry. I was giddy as a schoolgirl.
That's awesome.
Wyatt and Doc.
He went off with Wyatt, I am rolling. I was like, yes.
Yeah, Doc. I got to talk to Doc a good bit when we did when I did the show with them, and we weren't sure if Doc was going to make it on that night, and he ended up being available, and it was a good time.
Yeah. That whole group of guys are just amazing guys. I really enjoy being friends with them.
Yeah, we've had Robbie on, and we've had DA, and
Yep.
Doc does some. He likes to go do the ghost hunting stuff. So
yeah, I think he's done quite a bit down there in Tombstone.
Yeah, he's actually gotten felt up by a ghost in Tombstone.
I bet that'd send the chills down your spine, wouldn't
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or make you feel violated. One.
Well, I think he was at the Birdcage Theater, and there was a lot of women of ill repute at the Birdcage Theater. So,
right,
Doc probably got felt up by one of those spirits.
Yep.
This is leading over the edge real quick.
Well, Doc and I are fellow short guys, so we got to stick together.
I'm just as short as you guys. I'm only like 5'8", so
I'm 5'6". Come on.
He's a giant, huh, Jeff?
Even Spencer's taller than him.
Spencer doesn't know that. Shut up.
Oh, he does now.
He does.
He doesn't watch anyway.
He doesn't watch us.
He doesn't watch us. We're nobodies.
Now Wendell's sending me a video.
We're
Yeah,
2.5
me
hours,
too.
so we gotta get out of here, guys. I'm getting tired.
I got to go to my neighbors real quick too.
Yep.
So
well, thank you guys for
Wyatt,
having
by
me.
all means, yes.
thank you, Wyatt.
Sorry. Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely be following along. And let us know when if you guys get the kicking on a new show or something. Let us know.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thank you so much.
Maybe we'll
Very well.
we'll just have a show, bring you 2-1, and get your name out there, et cetera, and get your show out there and
We appreciate it.
kickstart it. That would be awesome.
If
More than
you guys are ever looking for another guest, Richard would be a good one to come on. He's had his own stuff happen, and then he can corroborate a lot of the stuff I was talking about.
Okay,
Nice.
perfect.
We'll have to line them up.
Sorry, I'm reading. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us, man. This is if we're going to be at Salt Fork, which I forgot was this weekend, but if it works out, maybe we'll have a show. If not, we'll push. We'll definitely get Bigfoot Bud and Angie and Jeff and my wife together on this Gettysburg ghost stuff because it's happens a lot there. A lot.
It was
daily
nice getting to ride
occurrence.
around. I hadn't
Daily
rode around
occurrence.
Gettysburg in a while, and it was nice getting to go take them around because
Thanks, Ken.
Bud and Angie have been there, but their girls have never been there. So we were showing them, Devil's Den and Round Top, and
Lot to do there. Lots to do. You almost need more than, if you want to do all of Gettysburg, you need a week at least. There's a lot of different things to do.
and Bud's gonna kill me if I don't bring this up, but I'm still waiting on a call from an auction guy from the Mason building because
Yes.
we wandered into an auction and I may or may not have bought some stuff that I'm still waiting for him to call me back to pay for. So
Gotcha.
we have to do an after hour show about the adventures of Gettysburg.
Hillary, Gettysburg's awesome. It's
And
a to-do thing. Put it on your to-do list. You got to
and
do that.
it's we live so close to Gettysburg. I could go there more, but I just don't. And
We
I
used
could
to
be
go
there
every
in an
weekend.
hour and 40 minutes. I mean, it's right there.
In 2020, when there was nothing else to do because of the artificial disease that was going around, if you will. Actually, it's real. I can't say it's artificial. In fact, I got one just recovering from it. But anyway, we were there every weekend. We were out there every weekend. Yep.
I'm telling you guys, there is something in Michelle.
Yep. And let me tell you, what's in Michelle is working its way over towards Gettysburg too, because there are reports right out of the battlefield in some of those areas of Bigfoot activity. So, yep.
It's a hotbed.
I got a photo I need to show sometime from one part of the battlefield looking over towards Michelle area. It's a really cool photo. Pretty nice. I'll have to dig it up and show it to you. Okay, we're rambling. This is that hillbilly. What's that?
Southern Goodbye.
Southern Goodbye. It takes 20 minutes. So
20 minutes is more like
or
an
three,
hour
or 3 hours if you're not careful.
yeah, or 6 hours.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, next Tuesday, 8 p.m. I'm sure I think you already have somebody, Jeff. Not quite sure yet.
I don't have anything for next week. I gotta work on that.
Let's get Catherine on. Catherine's name keeps popping up.
Come on, Catherine.
Yeah, I'm
We gotta get
explaining.
you on before Spencer. Oh, there's Bud. I thought he was asleep.
Nah, Bud's been hanging here. He's been hanging around here. He's been here for a while. So, okay. Again, Wyatt, appreciate it. And I guess let me get clicked over here to my other screen. You hang loose with us here, Wyatt, after
Sure will.
backstage and chat just a little bit. For the rest of you, hey, appreciate you being here. We love y'all, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Hopefully. Right, Jeffrey? Next Tuesday, buddy.
Woo!
Okay.
I gotta get somebody on. Woohoo.
It's all good. See you then. Thank you.
Night, footers.
I got you.